by the grace of God, I made it out. I don't. It really pulls at my heart just to know what you had to go through. My best friend died in my arms. I don't know if you knew that or not, but he died in my arms. I gave him mouth to mouth for like 30 minutes, chest compressions, and when I made the phone call to the ambulance, and they said, well, it'd be at least 30 minutes before we can get there because we're on the other side of the county and we got somebody in the back. And, we had to drop them off at the hospital and then we'll be there. So it was a detrimental day for me. And it's like the most awful thing that anybody can go through. I don't never forget it. It's like it happened in the house that I'm in now. And it's just awful. Every day it's something reminds me. So I can't imagine the pain that you're going through. The way I understand it, Nick wasn't a big drug addict or nothing like that. He just happened to one day somebody handed him a pill and it was a fentanyl pill and he passed away. I didn't know him. I know there's some people on the video that I do know, and it really tugs at my heart. What to kind of go back to that time frame or whatever, what was going on in his life that
Around the time that
he passed? Yeah.
Well, he was living with my mom at the time. I guess it would really start. I'd have to go back to he graduated from college right during the pandemic. He was living in Louisville and working at UPS before that, and he had got fired for horseplay because he's a goofball. He's a supervisor, and so he finished college and everything, and then he moved to Bardstown with my mom. I was living in Florida at the time with my youngest daughter. She was having a hard time adjusting to college. So he moved up here with her, and I tried to get him to come to Florida, but he likes Kentucky, likes the weather, he likes cold weather, snow. He loves hiking. He loved hiking in Kentucky. So he was up here with them, and I was like, try to get a better job. And he started working at the Pizza Hut in Louisville,
Yeah.
Domino's, back and forth. But he liked it because he could work during when everything was shut down. I think it was really hard on him having lost his friends from UPS and everything and the lockdown. And I think he kind of really liked being able to get out and do stuff. But that's where he met the woman that he worked with. She's a 50-year-old woman. He had a car accident sometime in 2020, I think around July. And she asked him if he wanted a pill that she called a Roxy. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, what's that? And I don't really know everything. I'm still kind of piecing it together. But she proceeds to ask him every day, hey, you want one? Hey, you want one? And he always says no. From all the messages I see, he's like, no, I'm not coming to work or whatever. So I don't really know how many he took, how often he did it during that time. As far as I know, and his really close friends, he didn't.
Yeah.
But something happened because October 2020, Nick became suicidal. And that's not Nick. Nick, for one thing, he always kind of carried the weight of the world, had a sadness inside of him related to sad stories, like to talk about it with people and everything. And he thought suicide was the biggest cop-out there ever was.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when his brother called me in October of 2020 and told me, you need to come up here, something's wrong with Nick. And I said, okay, I live 2 hours away. I got in the car, came up, don't tell Nick because he'll get upset. So I didn't tell him, but I came and I was like, well, what did he do? He said he's cut himself. I said, did he cut his wrist? And he was like, no, but he cut his arm. And he did. And I was with him and I was trying to talk him into coming back to Owensboro with me or going to the hospital. And he was acting different. He was acting weird. He wouldn't show me his arm. Finally, he did show me, and he had cut himself, but it was up here. So I took him to the hospital here in Bardstown. I got him to go. And he just kept saying, like, he wasn't going to stay there or anything. I don't know. And I wasn't allowed to come back because it was all the pandemic stuff. And then finally they did let me come back. And this nurse that was with Nick was very argue with you, like, because if you're saying something that he didn't consider factual, he'll argue with you. Well, the nurse was taking offense with it and arguing with him and escalating the situation.
Absolutely.
To the point where he was just very upset. And I didn't feel safe leaving him there in their care because they were going to send him to Our Lady of Peace, which he was like, I won't ever talk to you. And I was like, that's fine, you know, whatever. But I didn't feel safe leaving him there. So we left. He kept saying all he wanted to do was sleep. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep. He needed some medication. He wanted to go. He had been trying to go and get an appointment at a mental health facility, but it was so hard for him, and they kept, you know, all the questions and the insurance things. And I understand because Nick was in crisis at that point.
Yes.
He was suicidal. And I started to call for him. I was having a hard time, and I wasn't in crisis. I was feeling defeated, hopeless, but I wouldn't give up because it's my son, you know. And finally, I was there for 3 days, and I had to miss those 3 days of work, which whatever. But finally, we got him an appointment, and he was able to start taking.
Can you see that in there? Sorry.
It's okay. He was able to finally start getting his medication. That was in October, and he seemed to be doing really well. He was happy about working out and getting healthy and things like that. And then from what I see in his messages, my brother had moved in with my mom during that time in January of 2021. And my brother has a known history of drug use. And I think he found out that Nick had access to those type of pills. And Nick starts getting them from this woman, and every day again she's messaging him, hey, do you want in? Do you want in? And that's all through January up until February 7th when he says to her, what did you put in my pocket? I don't know what that is, but I'm not, you know, a drug addict or whatever, so, like, I'm not messing with you anymore. And that was February 7th, and I don't hear anything else in any of his messages except for my brother having people ask Nick to go get pills for him, and Nick's always like, nah, I'm not going to work today, or something like that, until April 6th. And on April 6th, I can see where Nick's messaging everybody, because he told them basically like, all right, fine, screw it. You know, his car had broken down and this, that, or the other. He was just at his end, I guess. I don't know if it was the fentanyl poisoning. I don't really know what led him to that point, but he was just like, you know, forget it, let's do it. So he starts messaging everybody around here that he knows for Percocets. That's what he's looking for, Percocets. And I don't see that anybody gives him anything. But on April 22nd, I know that my brother sent him money to get pills. I don't know exactly where they came from because my brother won't say. All he says is it's the woman at work. But for me, knowing Nick the way I do, he's very stubborn, and Nick wouldn't go back to someone who he felt had wronged him.
Yeah.
So I don't technically know. All I know is my brother is the one who found Nick on April 23rd in his chair, my mom's recliner, the night of April 22nd. Nick paid his car payment, was ready for interview, was encouraging this other guy to come work with him too. And he was excited. He talked to his dad on the phone. And then from what we know, he took a half a pill that night, told my nephew Logan goodnight, sat down in that recliner to play his Xbox. Sometime during the night, my mother heard a noise, walks right past him, doesn't even look at him, goes into the kitchen, walks right back, goes to bed. At that point, I don't know if Nick was dying at that point or if he had already died, but later, sometime around 5 a.m., my brother says he gets up. Now I know he also had 3 of those pills in his pocket that he flushed down the toilet before he called the police, and began telling the story of he didn't know what happened, which I didn't find out till months after Nick died that my brother was even involved or had any knowledge of it. I felt bad for him for a long time, and I really tried to comfort him, and he elicited that comfort from me knowing that he was directly involved in my son's death, and that's not okay with me. So after that day, my mom called me on the phone and told me I needed to come to Bardstown. And I was like, well, why? It's 5 a.m. I'm sleeping. And she's just saying, Nick's dead. Nick's dead. Nick is dead. And I'm like, no, Nick is not dead.
Absolutely, yes.
You're insane because you're insane. So I don't know. I just start kind of screaming. Keep in mind, I live 2 hours away alone. So I just said a little prayer to my guardian angel, Mikey. Like, this is some bull. It's not true. But if it is true, I need you to go find Nick. Because he's there, they say. So you need to find him. And Mikey is, Mikey Young. He had died when he was 21. And he's like a son to me. And he had been gone at that point, I guess, 7 years. So I asked him to look out for Nick. And somehow, some way, I drove 2 hours to Bardstown when my son called me halfway, and he was like, where are you? I was like, I'm going to the hospital to see Nick. He said, Mommy, you're not going to the hospital to see Nick. He's not there. I said, yeah, he's there. He was like, no, where are you? And I'm like, I'm on my way. I'm going to the hospital. He said, he's at the coroner's office. So I was like, no. Then I guess if you're saying Nick's at the coroner's office, I guess I'm going to the coroner's office. He said, you can't go there.
And the reality was just, I can't even imagine. Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, for Nick to be gone, for one thing, is shocking. For this to be something to do with a pill, also shocking. It's still just not real. And then the fact that he took some pill that had fentanyl in it, but he had no idea, which is murder. He's killed. He had no idea that he thought he was taking a half a Percocet. So now he's killed, and people don't understand that. The police don't investigate that, and I'm upset with them because They're not doing anything, and I keep calling. And I'm shocked out of my mind that my son is dead. Mm-hmm. And yet I'm still trying to do all of this, and all people are telling me is, oh, it's okay. You're going to be okay. You'll move on. My cousin died. I get it. Or my dad passed away. You'll be okay. And all I kept thinking is, no, I won't.
No.
And, I cut completely my mother's family out of my life because of that. I should have done it a long time ago, but now I completely did. So I was completely isolated and alone. So, and my son is dead, and I can't get anybody to care or to do anything about the fact that he's been murdered. They don't know him. They don't know what's been taken from the world. Nick is by far the best person I've ever known. He's loved people. He didn't care what you did, what you said. He just sit down with you if you were sinner or saint, whatever. Didn't care, and all I can see is the fact that nobody seems to care that he's been killed, except for me. And I'm trying to take care of myself, and I have grown kids, and I don't want them to be responsible for taking care of me. And here I am all alone trying to deal with this and trying to take care of Nick. So I created this group on Facebook called It's Okay Not to Be Okay, because I was tired of people telling me I was okay when I wasn't okay. They tried to medicate me and give me prescription medication, and my job said, 3 days, you can
pills
come
at
back.
you. That's what it's going to work.
Yeah, 3 days, they said. And I said, well, you tell me this. If one day your son is 24 years old, 9 days later, he misses his 25th birthday, if 3 days is enough for you, then I'll take your 3 days. She was like, no, I'm so sorry. So I took the 6-month short-term disability,
yes,
which I was fired after 12 weeks. They replaced me. Of course, they couldn't let me go. I got to stay. But it was just devastating, and I still don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on, and I'm finding all these people on Facebook and groups, Lost Voices of Fentanyl and things like that, and I see other parents going through this, kids as young as 13.
Yes.
So I see Nick is not alone, first of all, and there was this tattoo that Nick had been working on said Never Alone. Both of his sisters already got that. And now, a few months ago, I was going through some of Nick's messages to friends, and I see where his mental health was really bad. It was really deteriorated, and he said he felt all alone. He said he felt so alone, and that to me was just like, wow. I don't know what to do with this, and I'm all alone. Nobody's helping me. I can't get the police to listen. People think I'm just grieving, which I am, but I'm not just grieving. My son was murdered, and nobody seems to care.
It's I think about this a lot, actually. You know, it's when you go to the funeral home, everybody's like, oh, you know, and they console you and they love you, and if I'm always there, I'm always be there for you. But then in 2-3 days, they're not there no more. You know, and their life goes on, but my life has stopped.
Yep.
You know, and it's you know, I can't imagine my best friend's family. I know that they go through it. I go through it because he's my best friend. He died in my arms, and it crushes me. I'm probably like Nick was. I got this great big heart that was probably most of my problem my whole life is because I cared so much about everybody else, and then I had this perception problem that I didn't belong, I don't fit in, nobody loves me, and then, of course, my brain will carry away with that tremendously. I get this great big hole, opens up, and it's the most awful feeling in the world. I don't know that that's what Nick was feeling or what was going on, but I know I had to kill that pain somehow. And luckily today, I ain't going to say I made it to addiction because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know that I'll be sober tomorrow. I pray to God that I am. I don't know. It's just one of them things that we know that if I was sitting in the right position, the right person, the right attitude, and if I wasn't spiritually fit, I could be dead tomorrow. And I know that. That was my biggest fear about their using was they're going to call my mom and tell her I overdosed. Not that I was a drug addict, not anything like that. Not that I robbed somebody or anything. That wasn't my worry. To call my mom and break her heart that I overdosed. Luckily, I didn't, but I've seen so many of my friends go away.
Right, and that's the thing, because Nick's death was labeled an accidental overdose, but he didn't overdose. There's this video out by this parent that started. It's called Song for Charlie, and it shows basically like a fifth of whiskey. If I drink all that, I could overdose. Say if it's pills, then I'm overdose. I've taken too much. Yes. But if I take a shot, that's the recommended dose. That's not overdose. But if someone pours fentanyl or cyanide or something in it, that's poisoning.
Yes.
And that's what's happening all across the country. And it's up to us, unfortunately, the parents of the murdered children, to do anything about it and to wake people up about what's happening. And I don't even blame the police anymore because I feel like this has just been the way it's been.
I think their hands are tied.
And it's been the way it is. It's drug abuse, drug use, whatever. That's a bad person. And it's their parents' fault. Obviously, they raised them poorly. They're bad people. And then when they do something to commit a crime to try to ensure their, I don't know what the word is, to feed their illness, then they're a police problem. And then when they die or whatever, or they're killed, well, they did it to themselves. That's what they think. But did they? You know, did they really? Why is it that substance use disorder is the only disease that I know of out there where nobody stands around you and says, come on, you're not in this by yourself.
Absolutely.
We're all in this together. How can I help you? Let me start a fundraiser. Let's make shirts for you. No, they point their finger at you and they say, you did this to yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's so wrong. It prompted me to fight so hard for people suffering, because not only do they suffer with this incredible, horrible, dreadful thing that they don't want, they have to do it by themselves.
Yeah, I didn't as a kid think I'm going to grow up and be a junkie. I didn't want to grow up and lose my kids. I didn't want to grow up and lose my house, or lose my family. Everybody hate me. That was not my plan in life. I was going to succeed. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. But my mental state didn't allow me to do that. I did have a choice to pick up. I will agree with that 100%. But I was an addict, alcoholic from the womb, because my problem is in my head. I got a peculiar mental twist. I don't think like normal people. Not that I know what a normal person is, I don't know
Me
if there's
neither.
if there is a such thing as somebody normal, but I'm not like the most people, I guess you'd say. I think different. Like I said earlier, I got that perception problem. I don't fit in. I don't belong. Nobody likes me. Nobody wants to hang out with me. You know, I was the last guy to be picked when at school to be on the team. You know, or whatever. And you know, yeah, bad things happened in my life. Even though I had bad things happen, they was going to happen. They happened to everybody. I feel like and I'm a believer that when I turned 18, I had a choice. I could go be a piece of crap and blame everything on my past, or I can be the best I can be and move on. And I tried to do that, but I was an addict. You say substance abuse disorder. I always call myself a junkie, and I'll tell you why I do that. Because I was, and other addicts understand that.
Sure.
But it's me saying it now. If Joe Blow says it, it's different. Now it's offensive. You know, because it is a disease, and people argue that all the time. And
I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know this was considered a third wave of an opioid crisis. I didn't know there was an opioid crisis. I had no idea. My son didn't have these things going on. I felt like I'd done a good job, you know, trying to protect them, keep them away, and doing all the right things. And is there a right thing? No, but I just did the best I could to try to protect him and give him all the tools he needed in the world. But
it's definitely not your fault. It's hard. I got a 13-year-old son. I know people 13 years old out there's overdosing. My son could be that person. And, you know, I'm not around him a lot. You know, I got full custody of him. I'm still not around him a lot. I'm doing a lot in recovery, and he understands that because I can't be his dad if I'm out there using.
right.
So, and then I got to work. I got to pay the bills. But, you know, I've taken him to funerals. Every funeral I go to that's an overdose, I take him up to the casket, and I say, look, this is what drugs do for you. It's not cool. It's not cool to be the cool kid. The cool kids, they go out here, they get crazy, they get drunk, and they die because they're trying to be cool. I said, go to school, be the geeky kid with the tape wrapped around his glasses.
Right.
Because they get the money, the girls, and everything. I try to make that side look better, but in reality, the cool kids, it's not cool to be cool. It really isn't.
I see it as being yourself, because society and religion dictates that you have to be X, Y, and Z. If you're not X, Y, and Z, something's wrong with you.
Yep.
And, oh, I'm sorry, something's wrong with me, but it feels wrong to be X, Y, and Z because I'm an A.
That's right.
Well, it doesn't matter. You need to be X, Y, and Z. And, I mean, I stayed in a relationship with Nick's dad way longer than I should have, and I have a lot of guilt about that because it wasn't a good relationship. But I can say after I got out finally, I got to spend time with my kids the way I always wanted to, encouraging them to be who they are, accepting who they are. And I always did, but I had to fight against religion and the patriarchy and the bad relationship dynamic that I was in. But I always did try to protect my kids from it. And, you know, we were divorced, and, you know, I took Nick on this trip to Colorado in 2017 because I had gotten away from his dad. And we usually had these big Christmases, you know, and I couldn't afford that by myself. And we had, everything else might be crap, but we had a big Christmas, you know, but that year I couldn't. And I was like, Nick, I want to get all the grandkids something, but I don't know what to do, and I want to get you something too, but anyway, I asked him if he could wait, and I took him to Colorado for Christmas that year, me and him, and that started a love of hiking in Colorado for him that he kept throughout until January, the year he was killed. He hiked to the top of Pikes Peak, which was one of his goals, and I'm so very proud that he did it, and I'm proud that...
Is that where he's at in this picture?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the day he did that. And he just get on his shoes, just wear whatever, not prepare, just do it. Just sheer will, determination, and just do it. And, you know, he had friends that would come up to me and they would be like, Nick paid for my kid to go to the doctor because I didn't have any money, or Nick and I hadn't talked since the 7th grade, but he considered us best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was talking about going to my cousin's that I was worried about him going to, and he was like, he's okay. He's just misunderstood. And he's just, funny and great. And knowing that he felt alone, I really do feel like, the fentanyl poisoning that's happening all across America, the world, whatever, especially here, it's just happening and nobody's really noticing it because they're so busy thinking this is just another drug overdose, when in fact it's not an overdose because he didn't take more of a substance than his body could handle.
He thought he was taking Percocet.
He thought he was taking a half a Percocet.
Yes.
And that's the thing I really want people to understand is twofold. That's when I started my Never Alone Nick initiative, where I bought these 600 shirts. I wanted someone to do it for me, but as anybody who's struggling with this will tell you, you're on your own. Figure it out. So I did. I bought them and had them made, put it on my credit card. And I was going to donate them to the Crown Recovery Center in Springfield for Christmas because I couldn't give Nick a Christmas present that year. But I don't know how it evolved into it, but I started sending the shirts to every state in the United States, at least one. And people were, they noticed and they were a part of it. And that's when I created my second video that's called the Never Alone Nick Initiative video that shows at least one person from every state.
Yes.
So I want people to not only see how widespread it is, and it is mixed up of people who actually overdosed and people who were poisoned, because both of their lives matter. My son Nick was poisoned, but his life is no more valuable than someone who overdosed, you see.
Absolutely.
And Nick would be the first to tell you that, because that's Nick. And I know that the fight I do is for Nick, but it's not for Nick.
It's for everybody suffering.
Because no matter what I do, and I realized this when I finished the video, Nick's not coming back. And he's gone. But maybe it'll help other people not feel alone like he did, to not be poisoned. And poisoning, I also feel like kids are being poisoned with the words, like that they can't be themselves and they have to be a certain way, and that's just not true. That's not reality, I call it illusion.
I grew up that way, picked on, and I do not like teachers. I don't like schools. They sit me down still in these little chairs, and they sit above me. And in school, I got picked on all the time, from like 2nd grade all the way up to like this 7th grade. And I got suspended for the whole class was picking on me. And I would say, look, all these boys are picking on me. I'm not fitting in here. And the principal said, oh, no, not everybody would do that. And, and blamed it back on me. I'm 48 years old now. I don't have to lie about it no more.
Right.
They picked on me. I got a yearbook one time. Only yearbook I ever got. It's like I was in the 4th grade. I was super proud of it. How you hand it around and get it signed. Well, they took a black magic marker and colored in every page. And I tripped out. And I got up, I threw chairs and got suspended over it. And they just would not believe. They told them that I colored them pages in, and they believed it.
Right.
I didn't know why would I do that.
Right.
And so I get it. I don't understand why they don't listen, and I have a hard time with Stephen's teachers now because I've already got this predetermined way I'm going to treat them because they treated me like. Even though I got to apologize to them all the time. Look, I don't like teachers. It's not your fault. It wasn't you, but I'm in recovery. I'm still working on this.
Right.
I don't know that I'll ever get over that because that was a long time in my life that I was miserable.
I can say that Nick was picked on in school, but his dad and I always had his back on it. Always. That is one thing that I'm really proud that his dad did, was he would go to the schools and say, no, no, this is not going to happen to my son.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was trapped in a bathroom before in Florida, and one of the kids pushed him so hard it, like, dented the tile. And they tried to suspend Nick, too, and Aaron's like, no, you know, that's not going to happen. You're not going to let them bully my child, you know, and we, you know, Nick wasn't alone in any of those things, and he had us to do that. Yet, still, he's gone.
Absolutely.
You know, and we fought for him, and Nick graduated high school. He graduated college. He had a Camaro. He had money in the bank. He was working on a race car. He did all the things. Yet, in his messages, and I don't know if it's, I do know that Nick had a certain melancholy and an understanding of pain, but I do also see that fentanyl was killing him silently before it killed him, because it blocked his ability to feel joy and happiness, which is what the drug does. It literally blocks your dopamine receptors in your brain. So even if something small happened, it might, like, oh, I can't come. That might have been like devastation into a spiral, because it blocks your ability to see the truth of what's happening. Because I do feel like Nick did feel alone when he died. He did. And, you know, the week before, he messaged me and his dad about moving to either Florida or Kentucky with me or his dad. And within 7 days after he sent that, he's dead. And I had no idea. And yeah, I go back all the time, like, what if I'd have made him stay that day at that hospital? Would he be alive? Or is it fate that he had to die on that day in that way, and there's nothing I could have done to stop it? Am I happy that I got those additional 6 months to be with him and spend time with him? I am, because all across this country, I heard a video the other day, and I haven't found it since, that a mom found her 15-year-old. They were carrying her out in a body bag of her childhood bedroom, and her Ring video captures her scream. I only heard that scream. I had to leave work. I didn't think I was going to be able to drive home. And this is happening all over the country. All over the country, kids in high school, middle school, their parents are finding them dead in their room without a clue. And they're trying to give them CPR, or they're being left by their friends and not found for days. That's happening all across the country, and that is devastating. And I try to look for, I'm so thankful I didn't have to find him. I'm so thankful I didn't have to give him CPR. I'm so thankful that at least when I saw him after Easter was the last time I saw Nick alive, and the day I saw him at the funeral home, all I could think is, I don't want to see him, first of all. He had dyed his hair blue, and I was like, wonder what that looks like. Nick's like me, he's always dyeing his hair, and it's blonde, it's blue, it's black, whatever. And I just ran up to it practically, and he just looked like he was sleeping. And I said, oh, thank God, here he is. He's just sleeping. He's okay. I'm just going to sit here. And I just stayed there all day with him, and even now it doesn't seem like he's gone. And, you know, I talk of him usually as Nick is, because to me, Nick is always. He's never was. He is with me, and me and my kids joke that when we lose things, you know, that's Nick, because Nick was always losing something, and I tell them, look for Nick. He's always there hiding your stuff. And he does, you know. And
I like to look at it like, you know, when I started doing Chuck Brothers Recovery Loud and Proud, I did it for my best friend that passed away. I wanted to martyr him. I wanted to make sure he was never forgotten. And Nick won't be. I mean, this will never be forgotten. He is alive forever now. His face and his story is going to change lives. And that's the way I've got to look at it. He is doing something bigger. And maybe that's why it happened the way it happened. I don't know. Maybe because see, I got to look at it like it wasn't a loss. I got to look at it like it was God made that happen in order for him to do super big things that, you know, just be way over the top that most people can't do, and most people don't want to do and wouldn't do it if they could, you know. But he chose Nick to be that person, that special person, to be able to move on and save people. And I don't know if it does any good. I get a lot of, I mean, I was going to get off Facebook so many times because I get tired of seeing it.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you got your page too, so you get to hear every story. You get to see every time something happens. I don't even own a TV to put in my house because I couldn't watch the news no more.
I don't watch the news either.
There's too much bad stuff and too many people overdosing. And here I start a podcast in recovery, and I start to see it every day. And that's why I've not done a podcast in a minute, because if I don't step back, it's easy for me to fall in, and then it's overwhelming. And if I get overwhelmed, I get scared or nervous. What my track record says, I go get high. Right. So I got to back away and breathe. I've been super glad to come do this podcast because I haven't done one in a while, and it really makes me feel better. Makes me feel like I'm going out here and I'm trying to help somebody. You know, you're not alone no more. You can call me anytime you want. Not everybody's going to tell you that, but you can.
Right.
If I answer, I'm not busy. If I don't answer, I'll call you back.
Right.
Unfortunately, some people think when I don't call right back, they think I don't care, but I really do. I care probably more than most people do because I'm so affected by it. You know, that could have been me. That was a lot of my friends. How come I lived and they didn't? You know, my best friend, I see his family every day. I live in New Haven. His whole family lives in New Haven. We pass the dollar store in the aisles. You know, I actually still do their heating and air work. You know, I feel blessed. I mean, I would probably hate me if I was them. They're super good people. I hate it for them. You know, Tom was just like Nick. He was a super good guy. He was the type of guy that when he was driving down the road and he stopped at McDonald's, he didn't ask you what if he was hungry. He bought you something to eat. You know, anytime I hate those stipulations or whatever they tell you at rehab. It's like, well, you would ended up down on the river in a van. You know, no, I wouldn't have. Or, you know, would they have brought you money in jail? Well, Tom would have brought me money in jail. I mean, because he was that kind of friend. And I've never known anybody that was as good a person and big-hearted as him. I like to say that I'm big-hearted, and I'd help you out, give you the shit off my back, but I got to question it now that I know that I'm a drug addict in recovery, because I might be doing that to manipulate. I don't know. I still feel like I do it for good reason. I always have, until I look back in recovery and said, whoa, maybe I didn't. You know, I'm starting to learn who I am. You know, I've only got a few 24 hours, 3 years and a half maybe sober, which is a miracle because I couldn't make it 5 minutes. You know, every 30 minutes I was shooting up. And fentanyl wasn't around when I first got started. I don't know. I just know that if you catch me out selling heroin today, put me away for life, even if it's me, because you're killing people. You know you're killing people. These people out here they find with pill presses and fentanyl. I have no mercy for them. I can't judge because I'm not God, whatever, but, they're killing people. They know that can kill somebody. When I was out there selling weed, I wasn't worried about killing people because I wasn't killing people.
And what they're doing now with this fentanyl that's made in China really cheap, sent over here, coming through Mexican drug cartels, whatever. They have places set up all over the country to make them. You can buy a pill press on Amazon, powder to fill on Amazon to make any pill you want. Right now, today, I didn't think that was true. I looked, it is. And
they should be held responsible. If they're going to hold gun people responsible for their guns, they should hold Amazon for selling pill presses.
Yeah, but they don't. And then also, this used to be like a bigger city problem, and then it's trickled down into our smaller communities. But now they're actually doing these things called drug grooming, which is where they intentionally put fentanyl into marijuana or pills, and they give them to kids because they want them to create instant addicts because it's so strong, it's so powerful. They don't know what's happening. They don't know. It's like, oh, I feel good. Cool. Go back and do that again. Most of them have no idea. And I feel like that's what happened to Nick, that this person does that. And how much do they actually make? I don't know, what, a couple $100? But do they care that they died? Not really, because there's going to be 6 more that pop up, and other people will be like, oh, they got that good stuff. Let's go get it from them. You know, and I didn't know any of this. And now I do, and I understand. And it's just like, I just need people to understand what's happening. I need people to care about each other and not talk about going to church and being a good person, but actually be one.
Absolutely.
When you see somebody suffering, help. I can't tell you how it feels to fight this alone, except for that it's horrible. And if I didn't do all the things I did online, I would be doing it alone. 100%. And I know Nick felt alone, and I know it's not an accident that I'm doing this now, and that I know that he's with me. I do feel this is something he came here to do, but it's not just about stopping fentanyl poisoning, which it definitely is. I feel like it's a weapon of mass destruction.
Absolutely.
And it's being done deliberately and purposefully to destroy a generation of people.
Our country in general, I feel like.
Exactly. And then also just the lack of compassion. How can we say we're Christians or this, that, or the other and hate people and blame people and judge them and condemn them? Because I know what that looks like. Oh, how did your son die? Well, fentanyl. Oh.
Yeah.
Never hear from them again, but now I stop them and I educate them about it. I work in a hospital, and I heard one of the nurses talking to a pulmonologist about an addict and them overdosing. And I'm with a patient, so I wait until my procedure's over because I do biopsies. And when it's over, I say, hey, can I have a conversation with you about what you were talking about that patient? Is that okay? And they're like, sure. I was like, I just wanted to make you aware that just because people are like overdosing, not all of them are. I don't know if you're aware of fentanyl, but fentanyl is out there and it's killing people that are not overdosing. That's not. And I feel like because you're a healthcare provider and a pulmonologist, I feel like you're front line, both of you, and you need to know. And that people, even if they are overdosing, they're very loved and they're very important.
Somebody's brother, sister, mother, dad.
And I said, my 24-year-old son, Nick, was killed by fentanyl, half a pill. And I just like to say that to you, you know, to think about that and to know that it's out there. And I really need you to be aware of fentanyl. And he was like, oh, okay, you know, thanks. I mean, I knew a little. And I was like, whatever you think, double it. If someone comes in here and they say they've overdosed, have they? Or are they being poisoned? Because right now, today, the chances are they've been poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that was a good opportunity. I heard another person talking about someone with heroin and they can't stop shaking. And it was making me so mad. Like, you don't realize what you're saying. You don't realize what you're saying. You don't see how heartless and cruel you are. But I want you to see it. I need you to see it. It's not me. I'm not the one who's doing this. You know what I mean? And I'm not looking away. And every time people look away, it bothers me. I deleted almost 600 people when my son died off of Facebook because I didn't want to see them ignore my son. Whether that's real or just my pain doesn't matter. I thought whoever's really my friend would not care if they're my Facebook friend. And now I have 600 people of people I don't really know, but I know. I love these people. I love their children. Some of them have had children that fought addiction for years and suffered alongside of them. Terrible, terrible things that they've all went through. And I instantly love them. I instantly love their kids. And the only thing that gives me hope today about Nick is I know Nick felt alone in this world. This world is not a good place. It's a cruel, intolerant, hateful, mean, isolating place. And I just was so consumed with the fact that Nick was alone, and I would constantly look for him and call out for him. And then when I met these other parents and got to know their kids through them, Yes, Nick is not alone.
Mm-mm.
He's never alone. And not only is he not alone, he's with the best people possible. These people are who I want him to be with. He's with these awesome people
Mm-hmm.
that are like him, that love rollerblading and playing guitar and hanging out and going hiking. And they're all together. No more pain, no suffering. Forever everything is good. That gives me hope. That's why a lot of things that we do, we say never alone, Nick and whoever the other person
Yes.
is. It's like the greatest club in the world, and I will fist fight you to keep you out of it because I don't want you in it. Because if you're in it, then you know the depths of pain that is in. I don't even know. I know pain. I've been through a lot in my life, but nothing like this. I call it, I have one foot in this life and another in the next, and I don't want to be here.
Absolutely.
But I fight to be here because I know that Nick's story isn't done. My story isn't done. And I need people to love people and not judge them.
I wrote a poem. I don't know if you heard my poem Lost.
I don't think so.
I sent this out to, started out sending it to my friends, families that overdosed. And now I try to send it if I see somebody close or if I know somebody that's related, I always try to send this to the family or on the flyers. It's called Lost. It kind of says that. I don't know how to, I'll just read it and you give me your take on it. I've not lost a kid. I've lost friends. So this was my pain and how I deal with it every time. And I think I wrote it more for the family than the actual person. And like I said, it's lost. It's young faces lost in sadness, just wanting love or just some kindness, taken away in a blink of an eye. The struggle so real I can't deny. An unseen fight, a battle only they could see. If only we could hear their plea. They fought hard and long to succumb to a fight where their hearts never belonged. No one understands the war of addiction like the addict or the pain in their conviction. They tried day after day. If I could only make it for just a day, an hour, maybe even a minute, the pain might go away. Our hearts are heavy. Our prayers are strong. We beg God where we went wrong. I know in my heart, if we could hear them now, Mom, Dad, sister, brother, my dearest friend, weep no more. My fight is over. The war is done. I no longer hurt. My pain is gone. My heart is with the Father. I fought my best till the battle was done.
It's very beautiful.
I mean, it's so senseless. You know, I've been a drug addict my whole life. I mean, I can remember about 13 years old, probably, maybe. There was always some kind of substance to drink, you know. Wasn't not ever fentanyl. I didn't see heroin or fentanyl or any of that stuff until late 30s. So it was never around. I didn't like pills. I'd hurt my shoulder in a car wreck drinking, of course, on a New Year's night years ago. And I couldn't deal with the pain no more. So I had to go to the doctor. And what they do, they put me on pain pills. I had no insurance, so they just kept me on pain pills. They couldn't fix me because I didn't have the money to get fixed. So several years of pain pills, you know, and then they kept upping and upping and upping from Lortabs to Percocets, Perc 10s to 15s, you know, and then they throw a bunch of them at you. I was already an addict. I don't know if the doctor knew that or not. I didn't understand what withdrawal was. I did sign that paper, I guess. I didn't know I've done cocaine, methamphetamine. I mean, I've done every drug in the book and never withdrawed, per se.
Right.
When I got on Percocets, it was a whole different ball game.
Right.
I mean, just from Lortabs to Percocets was
a
whole new world.
That's the whole thing. That's the thing with those opioids, right?
And then they cut me off cold turkey.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I had heroin in my system. I'd never seen heroin in my life. But they was investigating that doctor. They cut me off. I had a choice, and my doctor said, well, normal people,
Right. Scare me.
don't cut off pills and goes to heroin. Well, I don't know what normal is, and I'm not apparently not normal because I'm a junkie addict, whatever you want to call me, and I'm good with that. Good with it because I laid in my own bed. I dug that trench. I take full responsibility. I had to either be sick and not work for however long I was going to have to go through it, or jump on the heroin bandwagon and be able to go to work and support my family.
Right.
Newborn kid, wife in college. I'm trying to run a business. I'm the only one paying the bills. Looking back, I should have just been sick. That was the right thing to do. But as an addict, going through withdrawal, knowing that all I had to do was take one pill, one shot, one snort, whatever, and all that goes away.
That's the thing about that series I was telling you about, Dopesick,
Mm-hmm.
because it talks about the Sackler family and how they distorted the public. I don't know if you were aware, yesterday, Kentucky Attorney General announced, our big opioid settlement. What is the opioid settlement about? It's about the fact that the Sackler Company, Purdue Pharma, other companies, especially Purdue Pharma, knowingly tricked and got FDA approval on a drug as non-addictive that was clearly addictive because of that coating they had put on there, but they knew. And it went through the FDA, got approved as non-addictive. Then they have these contests of how to get more out there. Up in the prescription, opening pill mills, having contests, penalizing the pharmacies if they don't sell more. And all the time when something started happening, they would say, no, that's just the addict. They're
Who gets
just
the money,
addicts.
though? Who gets the money?
They do. Purdue Pharma.
No, I mean, who gets the money from the settlement? Do you get any of that money?
No, that's what I want to know. That's what I emailed the Attorney General 3 times now, and I want to know, where's the money going?
I got suckered in. I didn't get no money.
What about the people who died?
I don't want no money. Give it to the people's families that died because they're the ones that deserve it.
But also, too, you were talking about, like, it's a choice, but, Dopesick, I never understood what Dopesick meant.
I did not either.
But Dopesick is, I understand now, it's death. It's
absolutely
death. And it's physical, it's everything, and people are, when they're caught maybe stealing or something because they are trying to not get Dopesick, and then they're put into jail to get Dopesick and withdrawal. A lot of them die there. It's a medical emergency, but they're just dismissed as an addict, and Purdue Pharma hammered this. They say hammer the addict. Say it's just a few of those hillbillies in Kentucky or North Carolina or whatever. It's them. They're misusing it. It's legitimate pain that matters. They knew exactly what they were doing from day one. Capitalism doesn't care. Capitalism wants money.
I'm a believer, and this is on me. Nobody else has to believe it. But I watched it happen. I mean, with my own 2 eyes. They shut down the pills. Within a week, heroin was on every street corner.
Every corner.
How does that happen? There's no way that a drug cartel could have done that unless it was government involved. I mean, if they don't want this stuff in this country, it wouldn't be here.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Follow the money. And that's, they want to hunt me down and kill me because I think that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that.
Yeah.
Follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand how somebody can steal my credit card online, have something shipped to their house, and not get caught. Follow the money, people. I mean, we got to quit being lazy here and do something. If we want this country to survive and we want our kids to live a good life like we're supposed to do, then we got to do something.
Somebody said something to me about, well, we need to shut the borders and this, that, or the other. And I say this. I don't politicize my son's death, but I say this. Until this country loves people more than money and cares about the individual and the heart of another person more than they do their money and their materialism, nothing will ever change.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. I think I'm for the border wall, and the reason why is because I see the fentanyl is coming across it in droves. I could care less about people that want to come over here. I mean, I understand that, but when they're bringing tons and tons of drugs. There's got to be a way to stop. Come across legitimately. I'll put you in my house if you need a place to stay and you're bettering yourself. I'm for it. Come legitimate because we got to stop these people that's bringing this dope across that border.
Right, but even if they do, what about the stuff that's already here and how we're treating it when it's here? It's not going to stop. You know, we can build a 10-foot tall, then we'll say they're dropping it in over the wall. The bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, until we look at the heart of what's happening, the hurt and the pain of the people, and what's making them do it, instead of having more jails to house them and more rehabilitation, people couldn't even get their kids into treatment if they weren't wealthy.
Funny you should say that. So I hear this all the time. I'm a junkie. I go to jail. I want help. I've been in jail for 6 months, and I go to rehab to get out. Now I can't pass, or I passed the P test, but my insurance won't cover, so I go to a halfway house.
Right.
That don't make no sense. It don't make no sense.
No, and then they have all these other things, and I don't know a lot about them, and you know, Suboxone and all this. That's the way I see it. Whatever it takes to keep you alive and keep you okay and keep you going, whatever it takes.
I agree. I was totally against Suboxone in Empire State, and I had to really I had to really sit down and get with myself and say, look, Chuck, if they don't do the Suboxone, they're going to die. Yeah. If they do the Suboxone, they might stay alive long enough to realize, hey, I want to quit. I don't want to be a slave. Or maybe they stay on Suboxone, but they can still be a parent. They can still be a dad. They can still be a mom. They can still be good to society. So I had to change my way of thinking. I got another buddy of mine, and you probably seen him online, is Dave Royce, and he's about stop the drug war. It's a failure. And he believes in safe daily dose. And he's going to be glad that I got on here and said this because he's on me all the time. I'm not a big fan about safe daily dose because if I was to be able to go right next door and get a shot of heroin, I probably would have never quit. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But I have to look at it like that might keep that guy alive long enough till he can quit.
Right.
You know, and who am I to say what works for somebody? Right. Anyways, I mean, there's a lot of programs out there, which I'm not going to mention, but not everything's for everybody. There is something for everybody. You just got to find your niche.
And as a mom, I look at it like this. If any one of those kids was my kid, I would say whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
If he needs that, give him that. Whatever it is, I don't want him dead.
Absolutely. I'd walk through that wall and the next wall and the next wall and the next wall to save my kid.
And I'm fighting for people's kids that I don't know, people who, like me, don't know this is happening or think nothing of it. Not my kid, but I hate to tell you, not mine either. You know, not mine either. But there he is, living in the necklace around my neck or urn on in my house.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but it says on top here, it says, fentanyl overdoses become #1 cause of death among U.S. adults ages 18 to 45. More adults between 18 and 45 died of fentanyl overdoses in 2020 than COVID-19, motor vehicle accidents, cancer, and suicide. I think it's put together.
It is, and I would change the word fentanyl overdose to poisoning.
Poisoning, yes.
Because that was before, and the terminology is changing, and it matters. Like on my son's autopsy report, it says accidental overdose. Accidental fentanyl overdose. It's the only thing in his system. There was no Percocet. There was something called analogs of fentanyl, something called 4A and PP and acetylfentanyl. And I don't know a lot about it. All I know is it's not completely metabolized, so it's improperly mixed because you have people out there who are would-be chemists making up things.
Absolutely.
Like me and you could have split that pill like a chocolate chip cookie, you know. I have 24 chips. You have 2. I die. You live. We took the same pill.
Yes.
That's fentanyl.
Yes.
That's not, I'm taking a pain pill. I'm having pain. Maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's mental, emotional. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's in everything now, from Xanax to Percocet, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin. Some people, I understand, do seek it out, and that's because it's that strong pull. But either way, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
I can say this almost positively. I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist, but if I was taking a half a Percocet, there was a half a Percocet, it would not kill me.
Exactly.
There would be no chance of it killing me. I might go to sleep, but it wouldn't kill me.
Right.
But now I don't know what size Percocet it was. If it's, I'm assuming you said Roxy.
No, it was a blue pill.
So
I think those are 30.
could be 30s, yeah.
Blue.
And
that's all I know.
even as a 30, a half a 30 would not kill you if it come from the pharmacy.
Right.
Thing is they're pressing these pills.
And you think they come from the pharmacy, but they don't.
You don't.
You don't know that.
I had a buddy of mine. He called me one morning and he said, "Hey man, I'm going through it, dude. I don't know what to do, and I didn't know who else to call." Guy's 21 years old. He said, "I'm sitting at work. I'll go ahead and tell you I ate a Xanax, and I downed some kind of alcohol." I said, "Dude, I'm not a big fan of you drinking alcohol, but I'd much rather you go to the liquor store and get crap-faced drunk than take a pill, because you don't know what's in that pill.
No.
If you didn't see that come across that pharmacy counter, you don't know what that is." He's not with us no more. I feel bad because I told him I would call him later. I just got busy. I didn't call him, and he didn't die that day. It was a week, month, maybe later. But I feel that pain because maybe I could have stopped it. I can't stop it. I mean, it's what I want to think. I could have done something. I really couldn't have done nothing.
No.
I mean, maybe I could have. What could I? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I said the right thing, or I mean, I would never stop trying. But I'm in recovery, and that's what I do. If you come for help, I got to be there for you, because there wasn't nobody there for me. And maybe there was. I mean, in recovery, you were never alone. And I tell people that all the time. If you're in recovery and you got your numbers and you're doing the next right thing, you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're not alone. There's bunches of us out here that care more than anything and would do anything. I got a guy sleeping on my couch right now. I got another guy in my shop sleeping on that couch. The one that's in my house is a heroin addict like me. If he ain't in my house, I feel like he might die. So I come to my house. I know you're safe there.
Right.
Is it the best thing in the world? No. Do I get aggravated that people are there? Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love people. I want them to live, because what about his kids? They want to live. It's not their fault either. It's just I hate addiction. I hate everything about it. I hate these laws that keep us from getting help. We deserve help. And I ain't saying that art's got to be free. I'm just saying that get us in there. Make it affordable. I like ARC up there. I like Isaiah House. I like all these places that are helping people, but make it affordable. I mean, does it really cost $1,600 a day to take care of somebody, and they're using food stamps to pay for it?
If we had one less prison that was turned into a recovery center, what about that?
Absolutely.
There's so many prisons. We just put people there, and then you're taking them away from their families.
Freest country in the world. We got more people in jail than any other country on the planet, even the ones that are bad. And you lock people up because they got caught with a pound of weed.
Right.
I mean, send that guy to rehab. Yeah. Or find the root problem. Why does he got to smoke weed? I don't know the answer. I just know that what I can speak from my own addiction, how I felt. And I tell you, I wasn't an addict either. I know as funny as it sounds, but I thought that I just like to go out and have a good time, party, whoop whoop,
Right.
And I did. Then I had to, when I got into recovery and I started listening a little bit, I started thinking, did I have to drink every day? Why did I have to do that to have fun? And I had to do that for me to. I don't have to now because I know.
Right. And I mean, somebody like Nick, they never got an opportunity. He never got a chance to recover. He never got an opportunity to do anything. And none of these kids do, because I saw an article where someone said, how is the fentanyl problem with, the courts and stuff? Are they stealing? Are they getting dope sick, whatever, doing the things? And the judge said, no, they're all dead within 6 months of their first contact. They're dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a problem in the judicial system. They're dead.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
We got to wrap things up. We went a little over, but that's all right. I could sit here and talk all day about this, but we'd probably lose views. I know that there's an algorithm. I hate algorithms, but 15 minutes is like the best if you can get under that. But I always do the hour, because I can't do this in 15 minutes. I can't get my emotions even moving in 15 minutes. And this is emotional. Mm-hmm. This is a big deal. This is the United States of America today. This ain't 50 years ago when my mom and them was growing up. They never seen nothing. They tell me all the time, I never even seen anything. What are y'all kids doing?
Right.
I'm like, well, you know what? I've never seen it either until I was late 30s, early 40s. It wasn't like, I lived in New Haven. I've seen a little bit of everything. Not to say New Haven's bad. I hate it when people do that, because there's so many good people over there. I hate to hear cross that blue bridge. So you're judging me because I live on this, but there's a lot of good people over there. And there's
on the back of this necklace, it says all the way to New Haven. Because when Nick was 3 years old, I took him to New Haven to that Iron Horse Festival.
Yes.
And it was the first time he'd ever been, and he thought it was the furthest place in the world. So I would say, Nick, I love you so much. And he'd say, I love you too. All the way. Far, far away. All the way to New Haven.
I love it.
So that's what I had put on the back of his necklace.
I brought you a couple of shirts.
I brought you a shirt too.
Awesome. Yeah, there he is. This one here says sharing hope. We die if we don't. Because we do. Mm-hmm. And the next one, you have that there.
Thank you.
And I had these printed up for Pathway to Hope through United for Recovery. We do a big thing that, awareness out here in Bardstown. And it's especially Pathway to Hope. Beautiful, beautiful. But you have that because I want you to know that there is a pathway to hope, and Nick is doing big things now. He's up there pulling some strays and helping people. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of him, too. I've always been proud of him, and I'm proud of him just as much today as I was then. And this is your shirt that I made for Nick, and it says, supporting the fighter, admiring the survivor, and honoring the taken. Has Nick's name on the back. And then on the front, it says never alone, and it has your name.
Awesome.
Because no one fights alone.
They really don't.
Not anymore.
And if you're out there struggling, reach out. You can reach out and talk to me, Chuck Brothers Recovery Loud and Proud, or
message me on Facebook, Angela Marie.
And you also got your page there.
I have a page. It's called It's Okay Not to Be Okay, Unconditional Love and Acceptance of Yourself Just Exactly As You Are.
Absolutely. I didn't know that you was the admin to that page. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, I was like, how did Angela know me? Why did she call and texting me? How did she know to get a hold to me? And then, of course, I've seen you from Bardstown originally, and I thought, well, maybe it was that way until you said it today about your page. I was like, that's how.
That's my page. I love those people.
There's a lot of good people out there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that care. Even if you think there isn't, there is. Just reach out. It's not worth.
Because you're not alone.
Because you're not alone, and there's people that will listen, point you in the right direction. And if I can't help you, I know somebody that can.
And I'm friends with an angel.
Absolutely.
His name is Nick, and he'll love to help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to give a shout out to Bluegrass Media Solutions because they provided the room and the podcast stuff. And JD is a super good friend of mine, and he's just like us. He wants to help people. And that's why I've been moving my podcast over here, because I think two of us together can get more out there and reach more people. You don't see that I'm selling a lot of stuff. I do sell my shirts, but that pays the bills. Mm-hmm. I ain't making no money off them shirts. I got to do it. It helps pay for lights and whatever. And I end up giving them all away. I really don't make a whole lot of money off of them. There are people that have. But I tell you, I've given almost 85% of them away.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because
too.
it's to me, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have the money, but you know what? I'd much rather see somebody see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's great. If you want to roll that tape a little bit more there for us, we'll kind of check it out. It's unbelievable. They say 1 out of 100 stays sober after 5 years in recovery. I know that the drug court, which I did go through the Nelson County Drug Court, and I'm truly grateful to them. They are great people, helped me out tremendously. But their success rate is, if you stay sober for 2 years and you don't get no trouble, you're a success. That don't mean if you go back out, you know, that's not what it is. But Angie, I really appreciate you coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Man, this has been awesome, for real. You don't know, I get so much out of it.
Well, that's good. I hope everybody checks out the other video that features everybody
I will.
across the United States.
I'm going to post that too. So
yeah, fentanyl poisoning.
All righty.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right.